Hawaii fans. Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, your host on the only program out there that's by a fan, for the fan, and about you, the fan. Guess what? Hockey, just like CCR says, is up around the bend. That's right, up around the bend, just around the corner, down on the corner, out in the street. The Blues are going to be playing in Edmonton against Chicago on Wednesday the 29th. That's right. And during this hiatus, I have had an interview series going, and it has been absolutely wonderful. It's not going to stop. But last show, I had Chris Kerber, the Blues legend, 20 years behind the mic. 20 seasons behind the mic. What an incredible job he's done. What an incredible interview. Well, I have my second legend. Another St. Louis boy, another Country Day boy. This time, I have the sports director from KMOX, Mr. Tom Ackerman. He's a host of a lot of shows. He's a host of the Sunday morning show, Sports Sunday from 10 to 12 St. Louis time. We've been trying to set this interview up for over a year. That's right, over a year. And it finally happened. And then all the gremlins happened. This is our second attempt to get the show in. So I hope I did it this time. So, this one is a good one. You guys are going to enjoy it. Make sure you get your popcorn ready, because I got mine. So, let's give a huge Blue Note Fan Report welcome and a round of applause to Mr. Tom Ackerman. Enjoy your popcorn. Well, it's my pleasure to welcome my second St. Louis legend in 2 shows. It's amazing, and I can't believe I got him here. Please give a huge Blue Note Fan Report welcome to Mr. Tom Ackerman, the sports director of KMOX Radio 1120. Tom, thank you so much for joining the Blue Note Fan Report.
Guy, it's absolutely my pleasure. You do a tremendous job. You know that I've watched you, that you and I have talked for quite a while about how we can connect and get this show going together. We wanted to be on together. I really wanted to be on your show. And I'm excited that this is happening. I think you do. I've told you this. I'm going to tell you again. I think you do a tremendous job. You put a lot of effort into it. It's incredible, first of all, that a Blues fan from St. Louis is in Hawaii and spreading the message about the team. And you were doing it way before they won the Stanley Cup. But now you're doing this show, and look what you're doing. I mean, you're getting Chris Kerber on the show. You're connecting with guests. You're establishing yourself. You're doing it the right way. I just want your viewers to know that I really appreciate you, and I'm honored to be on the show.
Well, I think that, and you had told me before that there's people in the media circles talking about me, and that's a huge thing. I know today's a busy day. The day that we're filming this is the opening of Cardinals baseball, and that's a huge day for KMOX. He's got his red shirt on instead of his blue shirt, and I can forgive that. I'm a Cardinals fan too. So we talked a little bit before offline. KMOX, baseball drives the bus. Everybody knows that in St. Louis. And KMOX has a pretty decent relationship with the Blues. They had them last year. They've moved to another radio station. Can you kind of tell us what your relationship, how that relationship, does the roundabout thing with the Blues through the years?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had an amazing relationship with the Blues, and we still do. Chris Zimmerman, their CEO, is a great friend and has been with us every step of the way. The owner, it really starts at the top, and Tom Stillman, the chairman, is a tremendous human being. And, we carried the games for a long time. There have been some periods of time where they went to another radio station, and they've done that here recently. But, these are business decisions. I mean, it happens all the time. It happens throughout history. We've carried the Cardinals for 63 years, but it hasn't been continuous there either. So, things do happen, but it doesn't take away from the partnerships. We have a great partnership with the Blues. We've worked with them on events here recently. We've done a lot with them during the All-Star game, as an example. we still cover the team relentlessly, and it's so much fun to be with them. But the history of KMOX and the Blues through the years is remarkable. I mean, we've had, the greatest maybe to ever do it, Dan Kelly, was someone who educated me on how hockey works. I grew up, in my room listening to him on the radio, just like thousands of kids in St. Louis and millions around the world, especially in Canada and the United States, listening to Dan Kelly. So, there's a great tradition there. And then we could not have asked for a better situation last year. I mean, the Blues go on and win the Stanley Cup. And it was just, Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale in his first year as the analyst, and Chris now in his 20th, teamed up and did an amazing job. And we've had so much fun with them. We continue to carry our friendship together. And, you think through the years, all the great names. I mean, heck, God, my first time I did radio, really a show, was Blues Intermissions. I covered the team, the 97, 98 team. And then in 98 was really when I started doing Turveys on the Green on the weekends. On Saturday nights, we did a show at Turveys on the Green, which was located at Lindell and Union. And the Blues would start coming over. We'd have players come over. The show was Ken Wilson, Bernie Federko, Dan Kelly Jr., and whatever guests they had. And I was kind of the transition guy. So as soon as the game was over, they signed off. Hey, welcome to Turveys on the Green. We're here until midnight, blah, blah, blah. And I would get the crowd going and get the audience who was driving out of the game established and excited. And then those guys would walk in. Now, sometimes I would let them just, hey, you guys take over from here. It's your show. Or they'd say, hey, Tom, I'm 23 years old. Join us. And it was amazing. Like that, my earliest memories of being with the Blues in the late 90s and really good teams helped me establish my career personally. So it's very meaningful to us as a station and to me personally what the Blues are. I grew up in St. Louis, a diehard Blues fan, and to experience a Stanley Cup, a championship with them and with us as the radio station, I could not have asked for anything better. It was just an amazing experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll get to you being where you grew up in a second, but I don't know if you can really see it, and it's kind of fading away. This jersey was signed by Ken Wilson.
Oh baby.
Yep,
Oh
baby. I got
guy.
So you did get to see it. Yep, I got an oh baby on there.
Give me that pen back, guy. Let me write an oh baby on there.
He lives here. He lives here.
He does.
And I met him when he was doing Hawaii baseball. He was doing they did a summer or winter league. He did that for a while. Know you're from St. Louis, and I forgot to ask this right off the bat, so I'll ask it now. Where'd you go to high school, buddy?
I went to Country Day, now MICDS, same high school as Chris Kerber, same high school as Joe Buck, actually. Yep. So there a few broadcasters have made their way through there. Yep. It was a great place. I grew up in Creve Coeur, grew up right near 270 and 40. Easy access down to the arena on Oakland Avenue to go see the boys, and of course Busch Stadium a little bit further. So yeah, it's in my blood, and that's exactly what it's all about for me. Is that I still feel like a little kid sometimes being around these two great franchises.
Oh, I know what that's like. I mean, I grew up in Maryland Heights. I went to Cleveland NJROTC, so kind of the same there. A little different, but the same. So let's get back. Let's get into the Blues and what last year with you guys covering them. They start off the season and lay an egg, and it's got to be tough. And I know you do some of the Sports Open lines, and I think you do Sports Sunday from 10 to noon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what was some of the comments and some of the things that you were getting on the radio about the Blues in that first half of the season? So say from October to December.
Well, I think it was a very tough time. There was a lot of pressure on Mike Yeo, and I think the team really felt like they had missed the opportunity before. But this particular team, I'm not sure that the plan or the thought of everybody overall was that this was a team that could go on and win the Stanley Cup, but that it was a team that certainly could be a contender, and they had severely underachieved. And it was just a matter of time. In the NHL, it happens often. The coach lost his job. And so Craig Berube takes over as coach, somebody that we had heard many great things about before he joined the organization. But when he did, and he was with the Chicago Wolves, I mean, they raved about him. The players love Craig Berube. Craig Berube is going to be an NHL coach someday. And Doug Armstrong made that tough decision, as he has. He had to do with Ken Hitchcock and had to do with Mike Yeo. It turns out that Craig Berube becomes the coach. And then the team, as you remember, didn't do very well right away. And, I think still sort of establishing what was going on. Remember the talk about independent contractors way before that. And, where was this team going? Well, this particular team started to, and at the time, I was really into this team. I was doing a podcast on the side with Cam Jansen. And we called it the Blues Game Time Podcast. And we actually it only was like a one-day thing. We just put it out there on game days. And we talked about that particular game, and we had a lot of fun with it. But, we were really, like, scratching our heads, I remember at the time, like, what is going on with this team? Like, where's the leadership? Where's the accountability? Are players wanting to – I mean, it was really not good. I mean, are they going to start getting rid of players? I mean, this team was at the bottom of the league. And I know you asked me about the first 2 months, but I just want to advance it to the point where there was that little bit of light. They rattled off a bunch of wins together, and Jordan Binnington just shows up out of nowhere and starts winning games. And I remember we said, they got to stick with him. Not that we thought that he was going to be some star, but it's like, the first time that something has happened, like, they got to stay with this guy and just let it ride and see what happens. And suddenly things started to click. And did we think that they would go on and win the Stanley Cup? No. But they started to put together something that was very special. And it was an absolute blast to watch it come together. It really was. And sometimes in sports, we've been through this before. We saw a professional football team, come out of nowhere with a quarterback that nobody had ever heard of, go on and win the Super Bowl, and then go back to another one. We saw the Cardinals 10.5 games out in late August come out of nowhere and make the playoffs on the last day and then win the World Series. And actually 5 years earlier, they kind of backed into the playoffs, made it on the last day, and then stormed the postseason and won the World Series. So, we were taught by previous teams, never count a team out. But this Blues team at that time, before Binnington had the hot streak, it looked as dead as you could possibly imagine a team looking. And it was difficult. We tried to keep as much hope and positivity as we could and tried to grasp for something because we knew the team was talented. Guy, it just wasn't coming together at all. And we knew that at that point, we were going to have to find a way to see if this team can catch fire. And did they ever? I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I turned 50 that season, or last season, and I went to the Christmas game, the games after Christmas and New Year's and that. So that was kind of I'm watching it, and there's like moments of brilliance, but that's it. And it just seemed like there were too many mistakes going left and right, and you're wondering what's happening with this team. One of the things that I've noticed, and St. Louis, you've talked about to me before, started call-in radio and the open line and that. And I know you've been on it, and you were on some of it last year. What are some of the craziest calls or the craziest callers that you've talked to?
I was doing a Blues postgame show one time where can I say a bad word on this show? Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're totally good, right? You're not
Yep.
worried about that.
Nope.
So I was doing a Blues postgame show once, and we had it's always when it's the rivals, and I'm like, all right, let's call in 314-436-7900. You gotta be a little careful because Blues fans, like any sports fans, but they're very loyal and they're very passionate. And it was a woman that one of the calls that I took, and she goes, "Hi, And I said, hi, how you doing? Blues lost it 5-1. And she goes, I just wanted to call in because I just think the Blues played like shit. And I'm like, oh. So we hit the dump button and it dropped out. And we ended up, it worked. We clipped her out of there. But it was, we were starting to get calls like that. I mean, people were, I remember another one where I did, it's just like years of frustration. There was a time, the years all kind of run together, but I'm pretty sure it was Brett Hall night. And the Blues were playing the Blackhawks, and they got trounced 5-0. And I opened the show, and they're like, and now Budweiser Sports Open Line, here's Tom Ackerman. I'm like, well, that was pathetic. The Blues embarrassed themselves. They were pathetic. And I don't even know where to go from here. That's as bad as I've seen them, blah, blah, blah. So I get a couple calls off air from a few people that will remain nameless, but not players or anything, but some people that were like, hey, you got to take it easy a little bit. I'm like, no, it was embarrassing. Like that's a game where it was honoring one of the greats and everyone's excited about it. It was a total flop. And I started like second guessing myself because I'm typically not I'm pretty even keeled. I'll let players have it when they need it, but I was pretty upset. So I started second guessing myself. Like maybe I shouldn't have used that word or, spoken in that way. And I'm like, let's go down to the locker room and let's hear from Keith Kachuk. He's talking to the media. And Kachuk goes, well, we were pathetic tonight. And I was sitting there like, that's my man right there. That's what I'm talking about. Accountability made me feel a little bit better about my choice of words because they were really pathetic that night. But I mean, I've had some great times taking calls through the years. I don't do it as much. I'm on in the morning now and host a news show and a morning show. But back in the days of taking phone calls, I absolutely loved it. You never knew what was going to be around the next corner, and Sports Open Line's been great history through the years. The teams were really good. There were some really good Blues teams that fell and couldn't make it. There were some teams that didn't make it and didn't have a chance. There were also some players, like I was upset when Chris Pronger was shipped out of here. I didn't think that was fair. But it's been a wild roller coaster ride, Guy. And when the Blues mostly are successful, make the playoffs like they did 25 straight years, and then fall year after year after year, it becomes very difficult. It's like, you get the rug pulled out from under you over and over and over again, but the fans kept coming back for the most part. There were some times where you saw some empty seats, but this is a very loyal fan base. And I grew up a Blues fan, but as a member of the media, I fell back in love with Blues fans. I'm often sitting up in the 300 level. I love during a game that I'm not working necessarily, I'll go down to the game and I'll get a beer in the 300 level and just kind of mix in with fans. I just love them. And, I miss those late night hockey shows where we would just mix it up and talk because it was like sitting at a bar, drinking a beer and talking about the game. And, when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, it was very, very emotional. And I know it was for you and it was for me. I cried and I cried because it was a release I never thought I'd see the day. I really was starting to doubt, will we actually see this happen? And it finally did.
Yeah, well, at least you didn't film yourself crying like I did. I put it out there. I did a live that day, a live reaction show, and I mean, I'm popping champagne and I'm on my knees. I get just the tears are flowing. It was an amazing that Game 7. I mean, it's never going to go down as one of the greatest Game 7s in history. And I watched it. I got to watch it again here very recently. And everyone talks about how in the first period that Boston dominated that period. They didn't dominate the period. They had more shots. But if you look at it, other than a couple of really strong chances, the shots were they were open shots. I mean, they looked like they were good chances, but Bennington saw them the whole way. There was no blocking. There was no deflection. He was really on point, and the rest of the team was just waiting for that moment where they could do something. And I remember when O'Reilly popped that puck over the glass and took that penalty, the look on his face of pure disgust and he was so upset with himself. You just knew he was going to do something good in that game.
I mean, it was watching a dream for me, because our entire lives we've watched the Red Wings, the Blackhawks, the Stars, the Avalanche. You just name them. You can name them off. All these teams. Why didn't the Blues win more cups back when they had all those great stars? Because the Red Wings were great. And because the Avalanche was a great team. Because Dallas had a great run. Because the Blackhawks had their run. You know, we always were sort of eventually going to be eliminated. And it was like watching a dream. I remember watching the Game 7 performance, like you said, right out of the gate. And I said, we're going to win the cup. I still have, and I felt it way before then, the way that they played. But this finally was the team that I had always dreamed of. It was the team that did all the little things. It was the team that established authority and physical play and pace, and they had the hot goaltender, and they had everything, and it was unbelievable. Like, and it's against Boston. I mean, this city that's tormented us, the Patriots, the Red Sox twice, you know, chirping in our ear about how they're going to take care of business. Boston Bruins, big bad Boston, and then we lose Game 6 with the city ready to explode, and we go into Boston, we go into that beehive up there and take it. And by the way, it wasn't just a goal at the end that won it. I mean, they flat dominated it and ripped the soul out of them with the goaltending play. I mean, Bennington, I can't even imagine going into the locker room, going into that dressing room after the first period, like, what in the world is going on? Like, what do we have to do? This guy is out of his mind. And the Blues were playing well also. And then, you know, Pietrangelo right there with Maroon is one of the greatest goals in Blues history. But for me, a guy, I was still kind of gripping the side of the chair until Sanford scored. And when Sanford scored, my entire body just felt relieved. It was like years of tense and stress. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to soak in this moment. I'm going to watch every second. I was in St. Louis because I was doing the Cardinals pregame and postgame. I sent the entire department, pretty much everybody, that we could get credentialed up there because they had been with the team all year. And we had, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, KMOX is also the home of the Cardinals. So someone had to cover the Cardinals pre and post and host the network show. And I said, I will do that. And everybody else went up there. And Mike Claiborne was back in St. Louis with me. He came over to host. I had him ready in case there was a celebration. He came over at the start of the third period, and we watched the third period together in the sports office, and we cried and hugged when they won it. And I mean, we were sobbing like little kids. It was just it was a very, very cool experience. I will never, ever forget it.
Was Chris Kerber's call, excuse me, was that one of those iconic calls? I mean, have you guys got it typed up somewhere and put on the walls somewhere, like, you know, we'll see you tomorrow night, or I don't believe what I just saw?
It's an iconic call. It'll go down in KMOX history, no question, and in Blues history and in sports history. It's actually the call that anybody that's called play-by-play always wondered what that call would sound like and who would get the opportunity to do that. And I'm so happy that Chris Kerber did, and I thought it was tremendous. Listening to Joey as well, just sort of out of breath and emotional, and everybody, you know, it just took everything, the amazing run that this team had. And Chris Kerber is so passionate about his job and about this team, and it comes from love. Chris Kerber's a hard worker. He's very smart, and he's witty, and he's a heck of a play-by-play guy. He's got a great voice. He has that whole package, but it comes out of love for the sport. You cannot perform at that level for that long without loving it. Truly loves not only hockey, but the craft and radio. And so for all of that to come together for him, I thought it was amazing, and I thought he did an incredible job. And his love for the game continues, and I hope he wins more cups. And I remember also another quick story about that. So the next day, I picked up my girls at camp. They were at the Missouri Athletic Club at summer camp, and it was like a Thursday, right? Yeah, I think it was a Thursday. And I picked them up, and I said, hey, you guys want to see the Stanley Cup? And they're like, what? They're like, they just won it last night. I'm like, I know where it is. And I grabbed the girls, and I took them to O.B. Clark's in Brentwood. Now, we didn't go in. There's no way I'm taking the girls in there. But not with that. But I knew the guys were in there, and I knew that a crowd was starting to build in the parking lot, and I knew they were going to be out on the balcony, out on the patio with the cup. And we parked the car, and we walked over, and we stood kind of on the outskirts of the crowd and watched from afar as those guys raised the cup. And then I heard the crowd start chanting Chris Kerber's name, and they handed him the cup. I was there. I got to see it. And Kerbs raised the cup. It was just amazing. It was just a great, great summer day. I will never forget it for the rest of my life. It was surreal, actually. It was like, I cannot believe this is happening. And the Stanley Cup is, 5 minutes from my house, and it's being raised, and the Blues did it. And that's when the call itself from Kerber is awesome, but it's a little bit after that where he pauses and he goes, they did it. The Blues, they've done it. The Blues have done it. They've done it.
So when I had him on, you guys did something really neat. You actually put a GoPro in the booth on them, and you can see, so it's on there. Chris goes through the call, and there's a point after he said it, he stops. And I even asked him, I couldn't get him to admit it. I asked him, what do you think? And he goes, I don't want to screw it up. I said, to me, it looks like he could not believe he just said the words that he said, because Joey puts his hand on him, and he doesn't even realize that Joey's touched him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, what's flowing through his veins at that moment, the adrenaline, the exhaustion, the exhilaration, the emotion. It was just amazing. I mean, what a cool thing. And I'm so happy that it happened. And, Chris has a lot of connections to the state of Massachusetts. He knows very well the Boston Bruins tradition. And it was to be able that, it would have been great to do it in St. Louis, but there was something about it was perfect that the team did it the way they did it, that they went on the road because they were road warriors all year. They go on the road. They pack their bags after missing game 6, and they go out there and they take it. They just absolutely took that cup home. My all-time favorite photo is of the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, Ryan O'Reilly, and Pat Maroon with their arms around the cup, holding a beer on the team plane. I will cherish that. That I want blown up and framed. It's the greatest.
Yeah, you get that. I want one too, and maybe we can get them both signed.
That's Scott Rovak took that picture. My great friend, one of the Blues photographers, and that is just an all-timer, man. That is an all-timer. Yeah. I had a couple of beers that night myself.
You ain't the only one. I drank 3/4 of a bottle of 360 vodka.
Oh, jeez.
I don't drink vodka.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about that. Let's talk about what's going on now. The Blues are going to be leaving very soon to go to the bubble. The NHL released today what the bubble was going to be like for the Blues and for the other teams, and what they're going to have. Is KMOX going to send somebody up there to cover the Blues?
No, we're not. We're not going to have anyone up there, but, we'll continue to stay in touch. The Blues do a really good job of providing us with players and coaches, and so we'll have that established. I know the only St. Louis media person I think that's up there full-time is Jim Thomas of the Post-Dispatch, my good buddy JT, who's been
the reason I asked this question because I volunteer.
Yeah.
Let's work it out. Send my ass. I got my passport. I got my Canadian card. Send me. We'll figure it out. I'll make it work.
Well, you got to quarantine. You got to quarantine for I think 14 days, so you would miss the first couple games. But
we could still figure it out. I mean, I could do a show from the hotel room. I could bring my green screen. I could bring my stuff. We can make it
Well,
happen.
I think that I think it's really fascinating. I think that the bubble itself, I think the hard part is right now. I think once they get up there and get into that, it's just winner take all, man. It's going to be amazing. And from a viewership standpoint, I mean, listening on the radio is one thing, and I would always encourage people to do that. But if you love hockey, if you love the NHL, this is going to be an incredible 2 months. I mean,
Yeah.
just hockey, morning, noon, and night, and all of them meaningful and important games. Just amazing, except for the game. Even the Blackhawks exhibition game is important because I want to see how they look. But for every team to be able to get up there and play and have this be a tournament, just so old school and awesome. And I'm actually excited to see how this works. And you better believe that's a legitimate Stanley Cup. Oh my gosh, you get through that after all this, you take that and live with that championship for the rest of your life with great pride at any sport right now going through this pandemic.
Oh, I agree. Not only that, see, I think that Blackhawks exhibition game is a lot more important than people are putting on it. First of all, the Blues are 4-0 against the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are the 12th seed. They're going up against Edmonton. You go in there and you beat them and beat them handily. And not only that, Crawford has been not fit to play, and we're not sure why, but he's been not fit to play. So you get, and I can't think of his name now. Their backup goalie, his brother's in New Jersey. Oh man, I'm gonna hate myself. But you get their backup goalie, and you beat them heavily in the exhibition game. You can make sure that they're not going further than that first round. You know, and I think
there's no doubt. I mean, it's an important game, no doubt. I just can't wait to see them take the ice and see how they look together and see what lines are used and if it goes along with what they've been trying to do in practice. Right now, just stay healthy. Stay healthy through that game, and let's just get them out there and lace them up and see what happens.
Well, right now the Blues only have 3 known injuries. Barbashev was injured today. There was nothing said about it, but he did walk off on his own power. He crashed into the boards in his back. Got that from Lou Korik and JT, or not JT, Tom Timmerman. Got that from them. Steen has been day-to-day with an unknown, and I do say this, absolutely unknown injury. Tried to find out, even for my own knowledge, and I can't. And then Dunn has been unfit to play for a while. There's pretty good summation that he does have or has tested positive. I just kind of leave that at there. I'm not going to.
Right, because the Blues can't. Yeah, the Blues aren't allowed to say one way or the other. So
that's not bad. I mean, for the most part, everybody's healthy. There's one line that I'd love to see Berube try, and I hope he does. I would love to see Thomas in center with Tarasenko and Perron on the wings, and let Tarasenko and Perron do what Hull used to do, swing back and forth, you know, and just let them find that spot. That's a line I'd like to see. The Blues are in good shape. I agree with you. I think the Blues are in good shape. It all depends on, and I say this not in jest, how serious they take the round robin. Because a lot of the teams are not taking the round robin seriously. They're not even using it for position. They're using it as exhibition games because they're saying we don't care who we play or what position we get. Well, it could be important because of reseeding.
It could be important, and you want to go into this tournament playing at a high level. So you can't just coast through the round robin games. You got to play at playoff speed. There's no way to replicate it. You got to get your legs under you and play at playoff speed. Vladimir Tarasenko has benefited from this layoff for sure, but he needs to be able to play at playoff speed also. And it's been a while for all these guys. So, you know, it's going to be, I think, a lot of fun. You know, Ryan O'Reilly's been working his butt off. I've been watching some of that video of him at practice, skating after practice and things like that. He's unbelievable. And Blues don't win it last year without him, of course. This will be, I think, you know, for me, Tarasenko is an absolute game changer. When he can score from anywhere, when he's engaged and uses his physical ability, he can knock people off. It's going to be really a lot of fun to see how that all works. And I don't mind that line at all. With Robert Thomas as a center, he's phenomenal. I love watching him play. But I think they'll start Vladdy on that top line with Shen and Schwartz. But, eventually, you could mix and match a couple of things and have some fun with it. I think Tarasenko on the power play will be fun to watch too. The power play actually was really good before we had to stop for COVID. So I want to see how that is reestablished as well. It's been a bit of a layoff.
I'm actually going to say something here that a lot of people are going to scratch their head. I think Vladimir should be off the power play.
Well, I think I think you're looking at him on the second unit at this point.
Yeah. But you look at when he was on the power play, they were sitting right about 15 to 17%, and it wasn't looking that good. When he went down, the power play jumped up to the 24%. Mm-hmm. And what happened is they weren't looking for him, so it opened up, and it changed the defense. Well, when he comes back, if they start doing that again, start getting into old habits and looking for him like you look for Ovi, and look, no disrespect to Tarasenko. I love him. He's my favorite player. I mean, most of my jerseys say 91. In fact, all my jerseys except my non-name one say 91. He's not Ovi, and he's not that guy that you can put it in there even though they know he's there. So by switching the power play up and letting it move a little bit more, be more fluid, it allows it to get more goals, and it also opens up the center area.
No, I totally hear that. It's hard to deny when you have 91 healthy, deny him on a power play unit. You want to see him involved in some way, but that's kind of what I'm saying is that it was going really well before the break. So how do they reestablish that and with him in the mix? Because they'll have him in the mix. They have the Blues won because they have a system that works, because they play defensively as well as anybody, because they forecheck, and because Jordan Binnington got red hot, and they need it to happen again. He doesn't have to stand on his head for 2 months, but he needs to be great. And I do think Jake Allen probably needs to see some action too, because just in case, you got to have Snake ready to go just in case something happens. But they won it all last year because of Jordan Binnington and other factors, but Binnington's a huge factor.
I'd almost guarantee you that Allen will play against Vegas in the round robin.
I can see that.
I think that they'll split the Blackhawks with Binnington taking the first half, Allen taking the second half, and then Binnington taking the Avalanche huge game the game 5 that COVID robbed us of. That's the team that probably, if you're a Blues fan, worries you the most. Colorado's got that great speed. They can really roll some lines at you. They're good. They're good. Now, there's one thing about Colorado that I kind of like. If they put, and I'm going to kill his name, Herbedew or whatever is their number one goalie in, if they put him in, now in the first 2 games we played him, we tore him up. When they used the backup goalie in the last 2 games, they beat us. So that's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do there. They could destroy their primary goalie's psyche in game 1.
Maybe so. Interesting way to look at it. I think any way you look at it, Colorado, Dallas, Vegas, you're going to have to beat these teams. You're going to have to establish yourself to get to where you want to be. So, the round robin, I agree with you, is very important. The Blackhawks game, exhibition game, is very important. Everything right now from this point forward is of the utmost importance. It is go time. And if you love hockey and you love the Blues and you want to win another Stanley Cup, I think you feel good about this team. Yeah. But they've got to be, and they've got the right coach for it too. Craig Berube is not going to let them drift. I mean, when you start to hear these players saying the same things, like give me a bed and food, Vladimir Tarasenko, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. I mean, let's get in there and go. We're talking 2 months of playing your tail off, and then you can celebrate until the next season starts 2 months later. It'll be this team is going to be very hard to push off. I mean, they will be very, very tough to eliminate because of Craig Berube and the leadership. He has this team believing. They believed in his message, and they are doing it again.
Yeah, there's been some really good stuff come out of camp. Sundquist has had a good camp. O'Reilly's had a good camp. Tereshchenko's had a good camp. Petrangelo's had a good camp. Um, Petrangelo's kind of an X factor because of his contract. Pareko's had a really good camp. So I've heard more positives than I have negatives come out of camp. And that's a good thing. A lot of times when you have a camp, you hear, well, this player's doing really good and this player isn't. Well, we haven't heard too many of this player isn't. And I
Yeah.
don't think that's been just I don't think that's just been reporters being nice. I think that they're seeing this standard of these guys want to be there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you know, they're going to have a team to be reckoned with for a while. This is a team that has a nucleus. I believe they'll find a way to re-sign Petrangelo and still keep a lot of this core together. They are, I mean, just think about the talent on this team everywhere. I mean, they really do. They have other young stars coming that we haven't even seen yet.
Oh, yeah.
So Doug Armstrong's done a terrific job of building this team and doing it his way. And, you know, in a year where they were going to be good, not considered a Stanley Cup contender, they go win the Cup. I mean, could you be looking at a team that starts putting together a run of something very special? I think it's possible. There are other teams, but, man, when I look around the league, I don't see a lot of teams with a future as bright as this one.
I agree with you on that. Well, Tom, I know you've got a busy day today, and I appreciate you coming on to me. So before we go, I'd really love you to go ahead and, you know, tout your shows, talk about what you do on the radio, or what shows you do on the radio, and when people can listen to you.
First of all, I love coming on this show, and I hope I get to do it again because I love talking with you. It's so much fun.
Open invitation, my friend.
Thank you. Secondly, I do a show called Sports on a Sunday Morning, as you said, from 10 to 12 on Sundays, Central Time. That's a little early for you, but, you know, we'll get you up and at it. And I think it'd be a show that it would be fun to have you on, actually. And, you know, here's a friend who's a blues fan who does his own show, who really cares, trying to do it the right way. It'd be awesome. And then Monday through Thursday, I do a show with Debbie Monterey called Total Information AM. That airs 5 to 9 a.m. So that's about the time where you're going to bed in Hawaii. And then I do some Cardinals pregame and postgame programming, which is, as you mentioned, as we're recording the show today, I'm getting ready for an opening day show with them. And then I do a show on Facebook Live and Twitter called The Garage Happy Hour. And it just started with me drinking a beer in my garage, answering questions from people. And now I've had a lot of great guests and celebrities have come on the show. Chris Pronger was one of the first to come on the show, and Ozzie Smith and Tony La Russa, and I've had the actor Sterling K. Brown and, you know, Bob Costas, and most recently had David Freese and Kurt Warner, and yesterday had Carolyn Kindle Betts, who's the CEO of the new MLS team. So it's been a great run. Jackie Joyner-Kersee, just all these great celebrities coming on the show, and it's not really kind of like what you're doing. It's not I'm not trying to break news or grill them with some interview. It's just two people catching up, and everyone's sort of listening in, and hope you get to tune into that, the Garage Happy Hour.
Yeah, that's I've actually got the list. I listened to the Kurt Warner one. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed that a lot. And I'll say this, I can't wait till I get back home, and hopefully I'm home on a Sunday and I can join you live. I would love that. And I know we've been talking offline about possibly doing something next Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday. And I touted it a little bit on my Facebook page, and I got a lot of response for that. So might get some listeners,
good.
buddy. Well, Tom, thank you so much. You have an open invitation. Oh, by the way, before I say this, you can, all them little blues stars, you know, like Prongers and that, you can pass my information to them. I'd love that Prongers. In fact, there's 2 games I want to go to next year. There are the 2 games. There's more than that, but there's 2 that I'm trying to make it happen. I want to go to Pronger's retirement because I've never seen one. You know, being in the Navy, I didn't get a chance to see all those retirements. And then I really want to go to the Winter Classic because I didn't get to go last time. Those are the 2 games that I want to try and get to. So
I think those are 2 good ones right there, and to see Prong's number go up into the rafters will be unbelievable. So yeah, I'll definitely be there. We'll have a beer there for sure.
Well, if I can get there, that's all I can say. If I can get there and get tickets, that's the other thing to both of
That's
those.
right.
Yeah. Well, Tom, it's been great. Thank you so much. This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan,
And
saying
can I
aloha.
say,
Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead.
before you do that,
Mhm.
thank you for your service. And
Oh, no problem.
I really appreciate you and all that you've done. And thank you for this.
Oh, no problem. And you know, I did this show for me. I mean, it started for me. It was some mental therapy and that, and a lot of my followers know about it. But this show for me is my chance to connect with people in St. Louis. People like you, people like Curbs and that, to let you know that there are a lot of fans out there. And that's why the name of the show is the Blue Note Fan Report. This show is about the fans. That's my tagline. By a fan, for the fans, about the fans. I think I'm doing something nobody else is doing. And I think, you know, the Blues do a great job of highlighting season ticket holders and that, but there's a lot of fans that aren't season ticket holders that are just as huge, that show up at the bars, that go to games when they can, that bleed blue and have bleeding blue for years. And I want to highlight them. They're important to me. And that's why I do this. So with
Those are
that
my
being,
kind of people, buddy. Thank
Yep.
you.
well, no problem. Well, with that being said, this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, saying aloha, mahalo. You got to know, Tom, that I'm bleeding blue with you, and I hope to see you again on the Blue Note Fan Report. Aloha.
Well, what did I tell you? I ate my popcorn. I hope you ate yours. Tom, thank you. And the offer to come on Sports Sunday is I accept. I accept, man. I can't wait. Hopefully it'll be really soon. Blues coming back. Oh, man, can you feel that? Right? Just think, what if he puts me on the Sunday that we play the Avalanche? Ooh, hope so. Hope so. Guys, guess what? With hockey coming back, that means the Blue Note Fan Report, the pregame, postgame show, will be coming back. What's a huge part of the pregame, postgame show? About the fan. That's right, about the fan. And for about the fan, I need pets of the game, tattoos of the game, fans of the game. You guys, my contact information right here. You see that? Contact me. Don't make me contact you. Contact me. Nominate somebody. Nominate. That's right. Nominate them. Get them out there. I want them. You want them. Let's make it happen. 3 to 5 pictures, a little bit of information, and I'll do the rest. This is Guy. Oh, you know what? Lion's Choice. The roast beef sandwich place. They've been following this guy. They like this show. Let them know you like it. They might sponsor it. Woo-hoo. This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, telling you, aloha, mahalo. I can't believe hockey's back. And you gotta know, I'm bleeding blue with you. Aloha, and I'll see you on the next Blue Note Fan Report.